So, Apal and Eric, a question to both of you. What do you think the book says to executives who want to impact and differentiate the company's bottom line by implementing great customer experience?
I think the important thing is that great customer experience is an engineering discipline. I'm actually an engineering psychologist, as well as being called a personnel subsystem designer and a human factors engineer and a user experience, right? All those things, right? Usability and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's an engineering discipline. You don't know how to do it, right? So executives and everybody thinks, oh, I'm a user experience expert because I have experience, right? I'm a human factors expert because I'm human. I've had people interview with me and they'll say, like, I'm a human, so I must be good at this. It's like, not quite. It's an engineering discipline. It's not common sense. It doesn't happen because you want it or because you tell people. You have to get experts. Just like you want customer experience, you gotta do the stuff. And the book defines the stuff. There's one chart, one page, and it just says, look, these are the things you need to make it work. Executive championship, the right kind of governance, the right kind of organizational structure. You need the right kind of infrastructure, including methods and standards and training and knowledge management. And there's a set of things that come together to make an operation that's fast, cheap, and good. And so that's what it says. So any executive, I know it's attractive, and I not too long ago, I'm sitting in a room with the board of directors, and the head of the board, he's looking at our design. He's like, "You're the expert. This is fantastic. This is the next thing for us. This is wonderful." And I'm like, "Okay, good." And then he gets up and he goes, "Could we just put some red text here?" It's like, you promised you wouldn't say anything. And then I'm thinking, well, okay, red text. Should we talk about chromatic aberration and chromostereopsis and the problems you're creating? But I was just quiet, but we didn't put in the red text. So that's the problem, is everybody thinks they're a customer experience expert. It's an engineering discipline.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many principles that, you need to be aware of. It's not just about common sense and just a smattering of stuff that you pick up on the net. It really is so much more just how a human being operates, how our memory and visual system, our information processing system, how do we really operate? All of that, it's a whole discipline of cognitive psychology, and increasingly there's knowledge that we get from studying anthropology, sociology, because we are now so much more connected with everybody else than we used to be. Our computing devices are connecting us all the time. So there's a lot of very fundamental principles to be learned and applied. So, yeah.
You've easily got, $2 or $3 billion worth of research that you got to apply. Mm-hmm. You know what? You tell the executives they don't know that stuff yet, and they probably never will, because they're not going to be customer experience engineers. It's an engineering discipline, right? So what we need is executives that are leaders. And the cool thing is today, there's a whole generation of people who I'm working with day to day who are getting on board, and that's what they're doing. They're not user experience engineers, but they've learned enough about the field to get it and to understand how to manage it. And so there's a whole set of people who we work with, and it's not what I originally would have thought. Huh. It's not people who came up and they're PhDs in usability and they're experts, they're published. It's not those people. It's people that are leaders. And as leaders, they're able to mobilize their organization. They're able to motivate putting together a mature practice.
So this book discusses a UX maturity model. Can you tell us a little bit about how this framework can be implemented in a corporate environment?
Well, one of the things we've done over the years is develop a model of maturity that says as an organization grows, it's going to set up a practice which has the stuff that it needs to operate in a mature way. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's infrastructure, there's organizational kinds of things, there's governance, there's issues about staffing and the quality of the staff's training and certification. So we built that model, and we actually certify organizations against that model. And that's something which can be useful as part of the governance process. So you're an executive, and you want to make sure that you have a mature operation. There's your metric to see that it's there, right? So how do you know that you've got all the bases covered? How do you know that your team is operating in a mature way and not just a way which is egocentric and fun? Right? There are a lot of people that are user experience experts, and they are experts. They can have PhDs and a lot of experience. And you know what? They're about their own design, having fun, and not about building a practice. So it takes a shift to go, this isn't about me and I'm walking around doing design and having fun. It's about the hard work of building a practice. And that's something at HFI that we've done. In Apollo, you built the whole Asian practice. And it was a lot about how do you set up the infrastructure? How do you set up the mature operations?
Processes, and I think to sort of draw a parallel, for example, we did the ISO certification for HFI India, and it was exactly to serve this kind of purpose where, as part of the management team, it's possible for me to be very confident that the operations have a very mature process. Everything is running based on that process. It's not some chaotic mix of individuals who are doing whatever they feel is good and whatever they feel is right at any point in time. No, there's a process and the operation runs based on the process. It's exactly the same thing when we apply that philosophy to the area of user experience. So, I mean, the world over, when we talk of quality, all kinds of quality standards and processes are just taken for granted that an organization must have those. There's no question. Nobody spends, even 2 minutes discussing or debating that there should be a quality process and should we or should we not. So UX just needs to get to that point. And I think this book, as did the earlier one, but this book pushes the envelope further to make our profession evolve to that level of maturity.
So when we're talking about this UX maturity model, can you give us a window into what kind of content we can expect in the book in this regard?
Well, so the book is really about a roadmap to that maturity. And so you'll see the book is structured around a roadmap. Now, it's interesting, we spend a lot of time consulting with organizations to set up customized roadmaps for their situation. So this is a generic roadmap, right? But it's still pretty good in that it has the major things and it discusses those issues. And you know what? Miss anything and you've had it.